Blue Republic, Coach Jamie and Coach Trish here. Hey, we wanted to make sure that we got you to understand exactly what it takes to go through an entire Ironman by yourself. We've got Coach Trish, who just finished her Ironman just last week, and we wanted to sit down and talk to her all about it. Trish, this is so incredible that you finished this whole race.
Crazy.
What got into your mind to do this in the first place?
Well, I would say it's been on my bucket list like the whole time. Like ever since I was like 15 and I saw like just like people doing. Well, I've always been endurance sports, so running, swimming I've done. Never biked, but I was used bikes. Just like everyone's run, swim, and bike before. But I didn't think it was gonna be like that hard of a thing to get into. And there's just this whole.
You just chose the hardest thing to do right away.
Yeah. And I've like never run a marathon. I never open water slam. Like never spent time on a road bike. But I was like, if I'm going to medical school, and I was like, this is a great time to just kind of throw myself into a challenge. So. Yeah, everyone around me was like, why don't you start off with like a sprint or an Olympic, maybe even do a half? And I was like,
Ironman.
No, I was like, I just want to go for it. Like, I just want to do the whole thing. Because like, might as well. Like, I'll hit those like checkpoints like as I go throughout training, like somewhat. So I was like, that's going to be my like long-term goal. And then I just did it.
So you saw the opportunity. You're like, look, there's no other time to do it.
Yeah.
It's time now.
Yeah. And I built up such a strong base for CrossFit. I was very confident in my fitness. So I was like, I'm just gonna, just spend the time, like map out like 5 months and just like go for it.
I was curious about that, how the transition into the Ironman training was for you, having this base in CrossFit, having base in sports. Was it a hard transition or was it pretty easy? Because it looked from our end, it looked like you just eased into it. And we were seeing you here coaching and we were seeing you here like even working out while you were training. No big deal.
No, honestly it was super simple. Like I said, like CrossFit just gives you like this base level of fitness. So like most people take over a year to train for a race like this. And so I was like, no, give me 5 months. Like I have it. Like I knew, I'm just really confident that like, I was really confident that like I could already run like half a marathon based off the training I do here. And I know like my legs are strong. I have like endurance in my legs and also it did help that I have like a base like skill level of running and swimming, which I think the barrier to entry for a sport like triathlon is to swim. So I didn't have to learn anything. I just had to like build, from like a base, and my base was already so high with CrossFit.
So you have run, swim, bike.
Yes.
Those are the 3 events. What order do they go in when you're running?
Swim, bike, run.
Okay, swim, bike, run. Out of those 3, which one did you come in with the most like confidence?
Running, for
sure. Because that was all in your background.
Yes, I ran like all throughout high school, and I played soccer, and I just like running.
And which one required like the most like stick-to-itiveness for you?
Biking. Yeah, it was so brutal. I have like, me and the bike were just like not friends. I had like so many problems with my bike.
While you were training or during the race?
While I was training, it was like unbelievable amounts of problems. I didn't actually have my actual bike fit until 2 weeks before the race. And like, once you enter triathlon, like I had a coach, you'll know that like with the bike, like people spend like years on a bike to try to find their perfect fit. And because I only did it for 5 months, I was like constantly trying to get corrections with like how the bike put me, and like because I'm spending hours on the bike, you need to be comfortable on it. So that was just like a whole journey. Okay, so how many miles on the run? So full marathon.
Full marathon, 26.2. How many for the bike?
112.
112 miles on the bike. How many for the swim?
2.4.
2.4 miles. Tell us about your nutrition. What did you have to do? Did you have to change anything about your nutrition? Was there something that your coach was like, hey, this is something that we've got to like re-engineer? Take us through your work up to the race, and then during your race, what your nutrition was like, because I know that that's a whole entire animal by itself.
Yeah, so up to the race, my coach was just very much like, we're not dieting. This is not like a dieting sport. We're not trying to cut down or anything. Like, anytime you're hungry, you need to eat. Like, because we were doing so much training, I was training like 3 to 4 hours a day of constant like endurance training. So she was like, you need to eat. Like, keep your protein up, but you need to eat carbs. Like, carbs are your fuel. So like, after I finished any workout, she was like, grab a banana, like eat your rice cakes. I love rice cakes. Just like eat everything and anything. And I was like thriving in that. I love eating, don't get me wrong. So I was like, okay, like I'll eat. You don't have to ask me again. During the race, like you have to have a whole nutrition plan, because there's something called bonking in endurance sports where you like, your body just starts like eating itself, and you just like don't actually have like the energy to just do anything. Like your muscles just start dying. Basically, me and my coach made a nutrition plan. So waking up, I woke up at 3:30. The race start was at 6. 3:30ish.
Could you even sleep that night, or was
No,
it
no,
like,
no, 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 no. I had like got 2 hours of sleep.
Oh,
I was,
that feeling in your stomach where you're just like, oh my gosh, because you just know that performance anxiety is there.
Yeah, And so I got up at 3:30. My first meal was at 3:50. So I ate like a big bowl of oatmeal, banana, and like 2 to 3 boiled eggs. And then I was supposed to have a Cliff Bar at like 5:30, and that was like when I was already at like the race ground.
Wow.
And then I had a gel like 10 minutes before I like got into the water.
And the gel is like super packed with like nutrients and carbs.
It's really just like sugar and like
okay.
just carbs, like just carbs. It's literally carbs. So like when I'm going through the race, all I'm worrying about is carbs. So like after I finish that gel, like I can't get anything on the swim.
Yeah.
But then when I'm on the bike, that's when like the nutrition comes in. Like I have to get 75 grams of carbs in some sort of way every hour, and then 16 ounces of fluids. So just like working that out with like my coach and coming up with a nutrition strategy, I was able to kind of do it. On the run, I was supposed to have 1 gel every 3 miles. And so that kind of took me to the end.
And so were you tracking on your
Yes, on my watch.
on your watch and making sure that you were like hitting these milestones?
Yeah.
I saw like when we were like watching the footage, like you had like some like a pack belt that you were walking with. What was in your belt?
It was all my gels.
All your gels.
All my gels. That was it.
And then did you have like hydration bottle with you, or
No.
you were just, were they like check sites that you could like have?
Yeah. So there were like aid stations throughout the race. So like my goal on the run was like run to each aid station, like walk through the aid station. So I was like trying to keep a solid pace on my runs, and then when I walked through the aid stations, I'd grab water and Gatorade and like kind of sip, and then have a gel if I was like at that 3 mile mark, and then like running it. So it was kind of like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you've got your whole entire nutrition plan in place.
Yes.
And you're at race day. How are you feeling at the start line? Like right before the gun goes off.
Oh my god, I thought I was gonna throw up. Like, so once again, like, I trained well, but I never like open water swam before. I did all my training in a pool, and open water swimming has a lot of different like skill aspects to it. So like you have to be able to sight, because like obviously there's no lanes, so like you can just go back and forth, like hit everyone. So there was that part. You
like
don't
an
have
Italian
to, no,
freeway.
literally, just like literally just hit everyone. And believe me, I was doing it. Like I was hitting everyone and everyone. I tell everyone the story, but I was like took 10 strokes. Couldn't see anything. Like the water was green, so I couldn't see feet in front of me. I couldn't see anything. And I'm used to clear water, like looking at the floor in a pool. Like freaked out, took 10 more strokes, and like hyperventilating. I had to stop, so I stopped. And I'm like treading in the water. And I'm like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. I just did all this training. I don't think I can do it. Looking at everyone around me, there's like thousands of people in the water, like just trying to like swim in each other, trying to find like a spot. And I was like, I need to find a kayak. Like I need to find a lifeguard. Like I'm done. I can't do it.
Have them pull you out.
I can't do it. And then I was like, no, okay. And then I was like, change my mindset. I was like, no, you can do it. You trained for this. Like you are able to do this. Your heart rate's up because you started a really crazy thing.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like gonna talk myself down. And then finally, I like kind of find a way to just like I take 10 strokes, breathe, like kind of say I'm hitting everyone, but it's fine. Like you don't have all the skills yet. You just started the sport. Like it's fine. Like, calming myself down. That was like one big obstacle I got through, and I was like really happy about like my mental shift and like making that big mental jump to be like you can do it. Like you're fine. Like you trained for this. Like you're fine. Take a couple deep breaths, and then my heart rate was low, and I was able to finish. Yeah, so when I was starting at getting into the start line, like there's so many people, and the crazy part about triathlon is it's a very male-dominated sport. So they split you into green caps and pink caps. Pink caps are girls, green caps are guys. And when you're starting, you get placed by your projected swim finish.
Oh wow.
So you self-select like when you're gonna start in the water, and you have a little chip timer on. So that's as soon as you start pass through that line, your time starts.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to be placed at like 110 to 120. And there's only green caps in that section, and I was freaking out because I didn't want to get like swim over by a bunch of guys. And so I was like freaking out.
Water speed
No,
bump.
literally just like getting pulled by Ben. And so then I was like, I went to the one section back because there were a couple of pink caps there.
Yeah.
And I like just placed myself a bunch next to like a couple of pink caps. And so I maybe feel a little bit more calm.
Was that the thing to do, or was that?
Well, my coach wanted me to be in the fast section because if you're in the slow section, then like if you'll just swim over other
You get
people.
bogged down
Yes.
with slow people in front of you.
Exactly. But I was like, I'm not trying to like win this race.
Sure.
Like I'm trying to survive.
I'm just trying to finish.
Yeah. So I was like, if I have to swim slow, I have to swim slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so then we just like slowly like made our way up to the start, and like we slowly trickle in because they start 4 people every 4 seconds.
Wow.
And you hear a little beep, and then when you get to the front, like my nerves were like through the roof. I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. Like, get my goggles on, talking to people around me, and they're all like wishing each other, like memorizing each other's bib numbers because they're gonna track them after. And like, yeah, and it's like a whole thing. Everyone's getting super hyped, but also like you can just feel the tension. Yeah.
Oh, the performance.
Yeah.
Pressure.
Oh
at
yeah.
that point, where
like
you
my heart's like pounding right now just thinking
you
about
have
it.
the whole race in front of you.
Yeah.
How long did it take you from start to finish, from like beat to beat?
14 hours and 8 minutes.
14 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You were going nonstop.
Yeah.
What, if you were to guess, would be the calorie consumption that you took over that entire 14
I
hours?
should know this.
It's wild. I mean, we can calculate it.
Yeah.
In fact, let's do that right now on the screen. We're going to calculate it on the screen. Check that number out. Okay, so Trish, looking back on your race, well, let me ask you, was there a feeling of accomplishment afterward?
Yeah, so I think when going into this race, like I knew I could physically do it. Like I was super on my training for all 5 months. Like I said maybe one training session the whole time. Like I was very, very like in tune with my goal. So there was no like doubt that I would be able to finish the race. I feel like as you learn like with endurance sports, a lot, just way, way, way more mental than you think. Because you know your body can keep going, but like mentally, like do you want to keep going? Like the whole thing. So going into the swim, not having that experience, like I immediately felt like I remember getting into the water and immediately hyperventilating. Immediately on the bike, it was like my hardest challenge by far. There was wind, so there was like 25 mile per hour like headwinds for like half of the race. And people all around me were like colliding with each other, they were like stopping, they were getting up, and like all these things. And like I'm on the bike for 7+ hours, so like I just see all this stuff, and I'm like, well, can I do it? And I just remember like going to the finish, like after I finished that, it was like the biggest mental battle I've ever had like in my life. I remember going to the finish, like going in a transition off of the bike, and I was like about to tear up because I was not even happy that I finished 112 miles. I knew I could do that. I was so proud that I kept going. Like
Yes.
I was so proud that I like had a mental shift because there were so many times during that bike that I was like, I can't do it. Like I just can't do it. Like,
Trish, I even heard, and it was from a couple other people, but also from you. You had told me that there were people that were just knocked out of the race
yeah,
on the bike.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure at every kind of like leg of the race, there were people that were probably dropping out.
Yeah.
But what does that say about your mental
Yeah.
space that you were able to keep going despite the 25-mile-an-hour headwind,
Yeah.
which is a wreck?
Yeah.
And then these other people that have probably done all kinds of
Yeah.
races like this and know what to expect almost,
Yeah.
and we're still getting knocked out,
Yeah.
and you still finished it up.
Yeah. So, with triathlon or with Ironman, there's a 10.5-hour cut off with the swim and the bike. So that was my race. Like I knew I could finish the marathon.
Sure.
So I just had to get to the end of that transition as fast as possible. And with these headwinds, like you're calculating out, like for me specifically, I'm calculating out the time I need to be biking to finish. And so I don't think that many people were aware of that cutoff. And because of those headwinds, like it created a whole different race for me, where I was pushing so much harder than I thought I had to because I was keeping track of the time. That was also very, very mentally like taxing for me because I was constantly checking the time, how many miles I had left.
Doing all this math.
So literally in my head, and I'm like, can I finish? Like, am I gonna be able to do it? And the whole time I was like, you have to finish. Either just do like 5 months of training, do all this to just like not finish. Like, in my head, I'm like, all these people are tracking me, like I'm like all this stuff, and I was like, you need to finish. And then you just see people just give up. Like there was this guy who I was biking with. I would pass him on the uphills. This was on our second lap. He would pass him in the straightaways, and he started slowing down. And I like was like, how much do we have left? Because we're going into the headwind. We're like, our bikes are getting blown everywhere. And he was like, I don't know. And he turns around and he just gave up.
Like right there.
Right next to me. And I had biked 25 miles with him. And that was like so heartbreaking to me.
Wild.
Yeah, and so like you see this the whole time and you're like, dude, and can I do it? And like I said, it's a male-dominated sport. I already feel like an imposter going in.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all these like really, really fit men just dropping out left and right. And I was like,
It does show it how much of a mental game it is.
Yes.
How much of a mental game it is.
100%.
Just
So
sticking with it.
yeah.
As you wind up getting through all the trials
Yeah.
and tribulations
Yes.
and things like that, and you're approaching the finish line.
Yeah.
Can you see it in the background, like as you're approaching
Yeah.
it? And walk us through what that last like 200 meters is like as you're getting there.
Oh my god. It was the craziest feeling ever. My knees were hurting so bad. The bottoms of my feet were hurting so bad. But like when I was racing, I was like, you're never gonna say that you don't feel good. Like in my head, you're never gonna say it. Because like if I let those negative thoughts get into my head, especially on the run, I'm just gonna have to walk. And that was one thing, I didn't want to walk unless it was an aid station. So everyone was walking, and I was like, no, I'm running. I made it through the run. My knees are hurting. See the end. There's like a red carpet. I'm like choking back tears. I'm like, you can't cry. Like, you need to smile. Smile. So I'm like choking back tears, and there was like a person in front of me, and I was like, I'm not gonna pass the person. I want to give them their time.
Right.
And I was like, I need to get across the finish line like right now.
Although that would have been pretty sweet if you were like.
Yeah, they were like, no, I was going to like push him over. I was like, get out of my way.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We saw like when you crossed the finish line, you were like
Yeah.
super excited.
Oh my God.
Really happy, and I was like, she's got enough energy to like be all super happy about it. I couldn't even believe that you still had that kind of energy, but it must have been like just emotional and just everything that you had accomplished through there, like coalesced this one moment where you're like finished.
Oh my God.
And you had all the 5 months previous in your head of all the training and all that dedication that you went through.
Oh yeah.
And you're wrapped up. And it must have just been this weight off your shoulders.
It was insane.
Along with that feeling of just absolute accomplishment that you had. And we were just thrilled for you. That was just super exciting. Okay, so what did you do to celebrate?
Well, all I could think about was people were so, like, they were like, the cheering squad at the race was so nice, but everyone had like Domino's pizza or like chicken, and I was like,
don't mind if I do.
Like, what is going on right now? And so I just remember thinking, like, I'm gonna have so many chicken tenders, I'm gonna have so much barbecue, like that's all I want. And so my mom got me like it was like 12 or 15 like chicken tenders from Raising Cane's.
Yes.
And I was like slathering it in like the cane sauce, like literally like chugging the cane sauce. And that was it. Like, I ate so many chicken tenders, and the day after I had like so much. I just wanted meat. I don't know. I think it was because I was having like so much carbs during the race. All I wanted was protein and like meat. So I had like a pound of brisket that I sent you.
Oh my gosh.
Literally just had brisket, and then I had like pulled pork sandwich.
I'm gonna show everybody that sandwich because it was like, oh.
No, it was so good, and barbecue and chicken.
Okay,
All I wanted.
I love it. I love it. That is the way to celebrate.
Yeah.
So you're all done.
Yeah.
You're back home.
Yeah.
What's the recovery like? I mean, you went through 5 months, miles and miles and miles during one day, 17 hours of just nonsense.
Yeah.
What's the body feeling like? How does it get back? Did it bother you? Like, tell us how it felt.
So my knees were like in bad shape after. My knees were in really bad shape. And
was it swelling?
I've never felt that
pounding?
before. Yeah, I'm sure it was just pounding. Like, I couldn't flex my knees, so I was like walking like all stiff-legged after. It was really funny. My uncle like threw me over his back. He's like, "You're not walking. Like, you look like a crazy person." But basically, like, it took like I'd say 24 hours for my knee swelling to go down. The craziest thing was that I had no muscular soreness.
Good for you.
Like nothing. Wow. So as soon as I like iced a bunch and took a couple of like anti-inflammatories, I was fine.
Okay, so put on your doctor hat for a second. Physiologically, why do you think that was?
Well, I think I trained really, really well. I think like my body always has responded to like high volume training really well. Yeah. But two, I was really thinking about this, and I was like, my coach, she told me like 4 weeks leading up to the race, like stop CrossFit, stop strength training, because like my legs just need a break. Okay. And there was no chance I was going to do that. So I was
like, I remember seeing you quite a few times.
Yeah, because that was my peak training, and I was putting so many miles in my body, and I would do like Saturday workouts. I was like, it's like my happy place. So I was like, I'm gonna do my Saturday workout. So if there was like legs in the workout, I was not gonna not do it.
Sure.
So I go into these like peak weeks, high volume weeks of training with very sore legs. So my peak week I had to do, it was like a 3,800 meter swim. The next day it was a 100-mile bike ride. The next day it was an 18-mile run. The next day it was like another 3,800 meter swim.
The mileage.
That was 4 days. And I think the following day it was like 30-minute. It was like a 30-minute bike ride into like an 8-mile like it was just a hard like speed run. So it was a lot of mileage that week. And that Saturday before, I think I did like 150 wall balls. And I was like, should have thought about that, because I'm like limping. My quads are not okay. Better. Yeah. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, it was literally just like me training under fatigue the whole time, like because my legs were just like brutalized during training.
Yeah.
And so then like I was fine during the race, and I'm pretty sure I completely attributed it to CrossFit, like just like training under fatigue.
That is so incredible because I know that like the pervasive thought really is that you finish something like this and you're just wrecked for like a month. But you would come in, and I was talking to a couple people that were keeping close tabs on you, and like they were like, yeah, she's a crazy person. She's totally fine. She's absolutely like, other than like a little bit of like knee soreness, it was like, so that's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started working out on Tuesday.
Right away
I
when
did
you
my race
came
on
back.
Saturday, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I could have worked on a Monday.
You had like a day off, and then you're back in. You're
Pretty
like,
much.
I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So we've got to know. Are you gonna do this again?
I don't know. I think that like it was a really, really awesome challenge. I think one of the hardest parts about this was doing it by myself.
Yeah.
Like I had no training partners, no nothing, and like I'm a very team sport person.
Yeah.
Like I love here because I have people here, and I get to exercise my vocal cords mostly, and then exercise my body. So I think that was, if I found a group of people that would want to train with me, like during all hours, because that's like the hardest thing is just like putting the hours in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I think I'd have to forget all the pain and like mental and physical pain I endured, like maybe in like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because there's definitely like a process. I'm equating. I don't know why this just came to me, but equating it like almost like childbirth, where you're just like, why would you ever want to go through that pain again? And then
100%.
there's like it starts rising. You're like, I think maybe you could run another Ironman.
No, people, women in the race were comparing it to that like the whole time. That's actually so funny that you said that.
I can't even believe that would be just something you
equated.
want to do. Let's just go do it again.
100%.
But I think it must be just the feeling, like especially as an athlete, the feeling of just the accomplishment and just knowing that your body can achieve these levels of fitness. And being able to utilize the body functionality of the body like that, I think is just a great testament to where you are as an athlete, as a coach. It is so exciting. So, okay, what's on your bucket list that is similar to the Ironman, but like what's next kind of a thing?
Well,
what do you think? I mean, you've got medical school in your future, so this is a great opportunity, like you said, to like just kind of dive into something that's going to be really hard. Now is the time. Is there something like that in the future for you?
Well, I actually really enjoyed open water swimming the one time I did it during the race.
Hilarious.
So I think that like
despite the nightmares.
I thought I was gonna die. So I might do like some longer distance like open water swim, because I think it's honestly really like calming when you're swimming well. So might do that. I actually like enjoyed swimming during my training, which is really crazy because I've always hated it. And then long distance like ultra runs. So like,
oh my gosh.
I think that would be the next
Why?
No, literally, I don't know. I don't know why. I just like the one thing I actually enjoyed doing during the whole time, like actually completely without having any doubts, was running. There's no prep involved. You just put on shoes and you just go on a run. And that's like, I appreciated that so much because like having so many problems with the bike and like having to pay like $4 to $8 every time you freaking go into a pool. Not that that's that much money, but it adds up.
It adds up, and especially like you said, the elegance of just being able to like slap shoes on and
just
go.
Yeah.
That's real. That's great. That's great. Well, I'll tell you what. It was so exciting for us to see you going through the race. You know, we were there with you the whole way, and just to see you wearing the BRC like gear was just the coolest thing in the world. And so we're just excited to travel with you in the next race. Okay, so Trish, talk to the athlete that might be thinking, I don't know if I've got it in me to do something wild. What do you say to them? Does it like not necessarily going into an Ironman, but maybe just going into like a little bit of a body fat challenge, or another like a nutrition switch? Like, what do you say to that athlete that feels like there's this 17-hour race of devastation in front of them?
Sign up. Like literally just sign up. I feel like everyone is always, it's like a big thing for me, and I just think that like if you sign up for something and set a goal, like just like sign up and then just find the steps to do it. Like it's not as hard as you think. Like in my opinion, I think anyone can do an Ironman if you have the time, one, and if you're willing to put in the hours. You just have to be willing to put in the hours to accomplish your goal.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just really just think that you just have to sign up, like have an end goal, and just start working.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to have everything figured out. Like I learned the whole time while I was doing my training. I didn't know anything when I started. Like absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know how to clip into a bike.
Yeah.
Like, I fell like
Sure.
10 times in my first 2 months. So like, yeah, you just have to get started.
You had never run a full-on race before,
No.
and then here you are in an Ironman.
Yeah, I haven't even run a marathon.
You haven't run a
like, I haven't
marathon.
run a marathon.
Yeah, I just find it to be it's
It's
so
just like,
Trish.
it's just like, no, but like anyone can do that. Like you can literally just, if you just sign up for something,
Yeah.
like just do it.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, no, but I can't because blah, 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 blah. Like you're making so many excuses.
It's a mental thing.
It is.
It's a mental
Like,
thing.
if you believe in yourself,
Look-
like it sounds so cheap, if you believe in yourself, you can do it. Like actually.
And you said something really great that I want to uncover even more. It's systemizing along the way. You find the steps
Yes.
to take you there.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge takeaway for any athlete
Yeah.
of any level
Yeah.
doing anything, like
Yeah.
even just in a workout like this.
Yeah.
It's just like, look, you've got 40 minutes of box jumps you've got to get through.
Yeah.
Start one,
Yeah.
and then you do another one.
Yeah.
And then you do another one.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you've got 15 box jumps under your belt, and your partner takes over,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh gosh, well maybe
Yeah.
I got another 15 to take. So Trish, thank you so much for being a part of the BRC community. Coach, you set the example for every athlete in here, and you are just such an example of what a superhero is in this community. Let's go! BRC, we'll see you again!